Welcome to Writer's Way, the podcast that brings authors and their stories to the forefront. Our host, Simon Ross, sits down today with author Gabriel Michaud to explore his book, Ivan the Wandering Wolf, an unforgettable journey of transformation, loyalty, and faith. Stay tuned as they dive into the inspiration, the challenges, and the rich world behind this captivating story. This is Writer's Way.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Simon Ross from Writer's Way Solution. We have online Mr. Douglas Reyes. He will be talking about his book entitled Ivan the Wandering Wolf. How are you today, Gabe?
I'm doing very, very well. First off, praise be to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for this opportunity. I'm very grateful to discuss my book and my creative passions with you.
Okay. Now, can you tell me a bit about yourself and your journey becoming a published author?
Well, I was born and raised in Wheeling, West by God, Virginia. I went to school at St. Michael's Parish Grade School. Then I went to Wheeling Central Catholic High School. I graduated college from West Liberty University, where my dad was a teacher there. After I graduated college, I spent time traveling the country, living in almost about 10 or 11 states all around the United States, working different jobs, mainly manual labor jobs, construction, and I was part of an ocean rescue team in South Carolina, which was actually a very cool job. So I've had a lot of different life experiences. I am going to be 37 years old in August.
Okay. Now, Gab, is this the first book that you've written so far?
Yes, this is the first book I have written so far that has been published. But right now, I have a long history of writing in my life. My parents were well-educated people. My dad has a couple books published. And I started writing at a very, very young age. So it's always been a really, really big passion of mine.
Okay. The book is Ivan the Wandering Wolf. So your target audience for this book is children's, right?
Yeah, it's for animal lovers. It's not just for children. It's for adults as well. It's really a family book that has a powerful message about finding true happiness and not letting that lie in material possessions. I think, honestly, I think it's a beautiful message, because today it seems like, with all these lavish lifestyles portrayed on social media, etc., seems like we're a sad generation with happy pictures. And a lot of people put too much of their self-worth in what they own materially. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, now,
It's kind of funny. I'll just tell you a little bit about how I was raised. So we were kind of a lower middle class family. My dad was the professor at the college, and, we weren't extremely wealthy. And anytime, I was a big basketball player growing up. And I loved playing basketball. And every time I wanted to... What?
Go ahead.
Yeah, every time I wanted to get designer Jordan shoes or whatever, my parents would actually make me write a paper on why, the designer clothes and everything meant so much to me. So, so it was kind of, they instilled a lot of work ethic. So I started writing very young, and I found that I had a talent for it. And as I got older, I guess maybe around 13 years old, I really started writing poetry and songs, and that progressed to where I was the primary songwriter in a few relatively successful bands. Now, by successful bands, I mean we got paid a little bit and we played some shows. Like, we weren't famous or anything, But yeah, my biggest literary influence would probably have to be Walker Percy. I love Yes, I loved the Thanatos Syndrome. I loved the Moviegoer. Second Coming was all right, but the Thanatos Syndrome and the Moviegoer, I read those books over and over and over. I think he's a brilliant author.
Okay. Now, in the course of writing your first book, did you ever encounter obstacles or writer's block, perhaps?
Well, I tell you what, it wasn't this, it's based on the book itself. I took a haiku I wrote in my college creative writing class about my 3 beloved dogs, Chance, I used to call him Big Poppy, Layla Bunny, and then my rescue pup, Freckles. Now, I kind of morphed their 3 personalities into one character, and, just because, every dog has its own personality and their own quirks and characteristics. And, I love those dogs so much. And I was actually living up north in Vermont. And I think we got like 9 feet of snow that summer. And I missed my dog. So I ended up writing this story, just kind of feeling homesick. And, I guess, people thought it was pretty good, so we published it. And the obstacles I've faced, it's just a lot of people. Honestly, I get contacted by a lot of people that want something from me. You know what I mean? Like scammers or, people and, we'll help you out if you give us $5,000 or whatever. And it's just, it's frustrating because I didn't even really expect anything to come about. I was just doing it as a remembrance of my 3 beloved dogs to kind of pass along as like a family heirloom. And then we had my friend Bobby Prebe, who's an incredible artist. She did the illustrations, which in my opinion are a lot better than the actual writing.
Okay. So by what you're telling us, Gabe, is that you were inspired by your 3 pups, right?
Yes, my 3 dogs, and
yes.
I'll give you a little example. So Chance, the oldest one, he was kind of the wild, rambunctious one, and he would get out of the gate and go on all these adventures, and we couldn't find him for a day, and then he'd come back. And one time actually, he was we couldn't find him, and we got a call from a restaurant down the street, and he had actually walked into the restaurant.
Okay.
And Layla, the girl dog, Layla Bunny, she was a wild dog from Salt Lick, Kentucky. My aunt and uncle rescued her. She was abandoned in a barn, and she loved to hunt. I mean, she loved to hunt. One particular time, my family had taken them for a walk up in Ogilvie Park in Wheeling, West Virginia, and she had disappeared and we could not find her. And we were up late looking for her. We could not find her. We're like, "Where's Layla? Where's Layla?" And we finally, late at night, we left, went back home. We're like, "Well, we'll go back tomorrow. She took off. We can't find her." And finally, that next morning, we got up real early and we find her, and she had scared and killed a wounded deer. Do you believe that? An actual deer. We found her laying next to the dead deer. Now that's kind of like, obviously pretty graphic. I wasn't going to put that in a children's book.
Yeah,
but in the story, Van the Wandering Wolf, he's hunting butterflies, which is a little bit more it's a little bit more friendly. And finally, the big personality I based Evan's character off was Freckles. Now, Freckles was he was a rescue pup, and he absolutely hated the cold. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was every time it was cold out, we'd try to get him out to go outside, and he'd stick his nose out there, and if it was too cold, he'd run right back into bed. And that's kind of where I got the idea of Evans hating the cold. So it's just it's a mixture of my dog's personalities, and kind of leaves a legacy as in remembrance.
Okay. So writing this book, you are not lacking any inspiration. Okay, you are focused on one theme, and that to develop the characters of your story, especially your dogs, right?
Yes, of course, yes.
Oh, okay. Now, did the book change significantly from the first draft to the final version, or you are focused on just one theme?
Well, the initial handwritten version was more sing-songy. It had more of a rhyme scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom actually edited it because we wanted to work on something as a family. And she did some revisions, but the actual first draft of it was way more sing-songy. And by sing-songy, I mean the rhyme schemes were very deliberate. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Now, when you had the final version of your book, what made you decide to have this book published?
Well, like I said, it was kind of like a family decision. My mom was like, this is pretty good. If we can get an illustrator to, utilize my dog's personalities and morph him into this character, Ivan the Wandering Wolf, we might be able to do something productive with it, and the illustrations, we met with Bobby Preby, and the illustrations were just so good that we were like, oh, this has to get published. I don't expect any success from it. Anything I get from this my passion project is a blessing from God, but it was just one of those things like, hey, this is actually pretty good, and people might want to enjoy reading it because it's funny and charming and, imaginative. And like I said, it's not just for kids, it's for animal lovers. And I think it has a powerful message about finding true happiness, because this material world is, you can't take it with you when you go and when we're judged by our Creator,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, let's talk about your publishing journey. Okay, what was your experience? Or can you tell us, how did you find Author House as your publisher?
Okay, so the first so we had done some investigation, and we reached out to them, and you have to go through the preliminary prerequisites and stuff like that. And we sent it over to them, and they said, yeah, we'd love to publish the book. And they were really happy with the illustrations and everything. And they did a good job. And then, like I said, I just signed to Primex Publishing, and they just republished it this year with more of a description and more of a background and stuff like that,
Okay. Now, did you ever think of soliciting the services of a literary agent?
To a literary agent?
Yes. Did you ever cross your mind?
I've been contacted by so many people. It's like every day someone's calling me that wants to help me out with this, but it seems like there's always a catch. It's always like, okay, but yeah, you're going to pay us first. And it's like, I'm focused fully on my career in the hospitality industry right now, that I don't have time to be, really fully focused on this book. It's just something fun I did. I do get contacted by agents and management. I do have a manager now. Her name's Aya. She's really nice. She actually called me before we got on the phone. And she just kind of makes sure everything's legit. Like if a publishing company sends me a contract or a management agent, they'll do research and they'll make sure it's not something fraudulent, or you know what I mean?
Yes. We don't have any contact. We don't have any contract, or we don't have any kind of agreement that we would like you to sign, or we would like to have this book obviously branded or republished with us. Okay. So given that, now can you tell me, is there any challenges you encounter while publishing the book?
Well, I tell you what, I got navigating all these phone calls and emails I get on a regular basis is a job in its own. I'm always constantly getting called from people, and the challenge is just trying to find out who's legitimate and who's not. It's like, because it was funny. I had actually, and I don't want to go into detail, but I had been ripped off before, by this marketing agency.
Now, let's talk about the promotion and the audience. So you mentioned that during the early part of the interview that this is a book that will cater to children as well as adults, correct?
Yeah, it's obviously it's geared more towards younger people because of the illustrations, and it's kind of comic booky a little bit and stuff like that. But it's really a family book. My goal is to obviously help children learn how to read, using the rhyme schemes and the patterns that I use. It's very easy to read, the syllables, etc. So that's, I think that's very important because, kids don't read anymore. They really don't. They all got the technology and the video games, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but, it's kind of sad, that, kids aren't focused on reading anymore. And growing up, that was a big part of my life,
Yeah, I understand, guys. Okay, now you had this book published by Author House in 2016. So as far as book sales and royalties is concerned, were you able to recover back your investment?
As of right now, financially, I'm doing pretty well. I just signed to a new publisher because Author House was kind of dragging their feet on sending me like the sales numbers and stuff like that, and
the royalties.
Difficult to get the royalties. It was difficult for me to get a hold of them and discuss business and to see how many books have been sold and stuff like that. So that's why I signed with a new publisher, Primex Publishing.
Okay. Now, did you check the Primex Publishing before having your book republished by Primex?
Yeah, they're a good company. Like I said, my manager Aya worked for them. They actually displayed my book at the LA Times Festival of Books this year, and it got a good response. So I was really happy about that.
Okay. I'm glad that you already found a publisher. Now let's talk about the promotion and the audience. So you mentioned that this book of yours predominantly caters to children and young adults, right?
Yeah, I would say so. But it's adults as well. It's something fun, to bring some joy and positivity into this world, and it has a good message. It's not directed towards one type of demographic, It's just, if you like animals, you have dogs, I love all animals, but I really love dogs. I mean, you'll find it funny because the illustrations, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and it's cute. It's cute and funny, and I've had a good response for it. But promotion-wise, I really don't do too much promotion. I do have a Facebook page, but I'm not very active on that. Like I said, this whole thing is just something that I do as like my third or fourth job because it's fun to do, but it's also very stressful, and to build a fan base and stuff like that takes a lot of time.
Yes.
So I'm not too invested into it. Maybe when I get a little older and have more time and more financial freedom, I'll focus more on the promotional aspect. But right now, I just kind of, every once in a while I'll post about it, and if people want to buy it, cool. If they don't, cool,
Okay. Taking it easy.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I call it. That is good to know, because a lot of authors, they are expecting that their book be properly promoted and marketed, and that they are sold relying solely to the publisher to promote and market the book, which is not true, because promoting and marketing a book, that requires investment from your end. So if you in your first book, you had Author House publish this, and I'm sure the marketing consultant at Author House bombarded you with marketing services on the pretext that this is the kind of marketing service that would generate book sales and royalties for you. Did you experience that with Author House?
Yeah, that was so long ago I can't remember, but there was it's a bit they did the distribution aspect. It's available. Yeah, it's available at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, all the major retailers and stuff like that. But yeah, we discussed that. But I've talked to so many people. Like you wouldn't understand the amount of phone calls I get about this.
Yes, exactly. Okay, now let's go to the reflections and your insight. Okay, what was the most important thing you've learned from being an author?
Wow, that's a tough question. The most important thing, the most important thing I've learned from being an author is that I got it.
It's like, are you satisfied with your experience being a first-time author?
Yeah, because it's something, I'm proud of, I'm really proud of it, I had this idea, I wrote it down about my dogs, and, it came to fruition, and it just shows that if you're disciplined and you have the ability to focus on something you're passionate about, you can develop something pretty cool, and I'm proud of it.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, we have a lot of listeners, and this interview will be made available to the internet, to the 40,000 online resellers worldwide, and selected libraries and physical bookstores. So we are also pretty sure that there are a lot of aspiring authors who will be listening to this interview. So can you give me, what advice would you give to aspiring writers?
Aspiring writers?
Yes. You've been through that, right?
Yeah, I would say if you love to write, just write. Don't worry about the money. This industry is it's more than a sea of content.
Exactly.
And you have to do it because you love doing it. And I love writing. I get so much joy out of passing the time just writing songs or poems or stories. It's just, I wish my handwriting was a little better, but
so it's like saying that if you have the passion, go for it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's if like I said, I've had so many, God has blessed me with so many different opportunities because of this book, and I just the people I've met and the events, like I said, the LA Times Festival of Books, and it's a wonderful thing to do, being able to write, and it takes time. You have to find your own style. You have to find, your own way of expressing yourself individually, and it's more discipline and hard work than actual talent. You know what I mean?
Okay. Does inspiration and influences from other authors a factor for writing a book? You have to have an inspiration. You have to have somebody who's going to influence you, and you have to have a determination to write this book. Is this correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, very good. So now, can you tell me, Gab, since this book is
Gabe.
Gabe, I'm sorry. Since this book, yeah, that's all right. Since this book has already been republished by Primex, and it will be available pretty soon. So, are you planning to write another book once the republishing of this book is done?
I tell you what, I'm actually working on a novel called I-70 to Nowhere. Now, that story is kind of science fiction, maybe a little bit of real life experience. But that book is for adults. That is definitely an adult book. And I'm about I'm about halfway through it. And I just can't decide how fantasy I want to go with it. You know what I mean?
That's for the second book.
Yeah. So I'm working on a novel called I-70 to Nowhere. Exactly.
Yeah,
Kind of like it's kind of like with, although I love Kerouac's On the Road. It was just a little bit too graphic for me. So it's maybe a little bit toned down, kind of like spin on Kerouac's On the Road. But that's definitely geared more towards like the 30, 40, 50s, that age demographic.
With the current book that you are writing right now, do you see yourself in any of the characters that is in your book?
The one I'm writing right now, well, what I'm writing right now is like, it's kind of like based on my life experiences traveling and working all around the United States of America. So there's a lot of experiences in the book that were pretty true to life, It's not like a biography or anything like that, because who am I kidding? I'm a good person, and I think I'm an interesting person, but I'm not at the level where if I wrote a biography, someone would want to read it. You know what I mean? Like usually
there are a lot of persons who are who are very much inspired by memoir or a biography. Okay, that should be the inspiration of your third book. Well, anyway, it's so enlightening to talking to you, Gabe. And at the same time, we would like the listener that your book is currently being rebranded by Primex Publishing, and it will be out in the market soon. The rebranded version of your book will be out in the market.
I believe it's released now. They released it right after the LA Times Festival of Books. So it's released on all major retailers, Barnes and Noble. I think Harvard Bookstore's selling it. Amazon, Amazon, and then of course, what else? All the big book retailers, they're selling it right now.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Gabe, for allowing yourself to be interviewed by us. And rest assured that we will do everything in order to help you promote your book, okay?
All right, thank you, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Gabe. Have a nice day, sir.
We could throw it in drive. With the radio so loud they can hear us from miles. Me and you, nothing to do. These days they come and go. Me and you, nothing to lose. I feel it in my soul. So let's let the good times roll.